It's the Friday Feels, and we're back with your first sip of the weekend. You're now tuned in to this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. I'm your host, Nicole Carmine, and it's amazing to have you here, joining me this week as we uncover the truths about being a human and a working professional. What are you up to this Friday? Well, whatever it is, this moment is just for you. And we're back with another episode of Your Happy Hour. And we're in the flesh of January, and we're all kind of going back to work, slowly starting to take on this new year. Perhaps your January has started with a bang. Perhaps it's slowly crawling into the new year. Well, whatever it is, please tell us your feels, and a very, very big welcome to another month of talking about something really cool, which is authentic community. What does that really mean when we say authentic community? So last week we explored a little bit about community around traveling and the concept of finding your traveling community through the help of AI and real life stories. And this week I am chatting to Frédéric Geoffrois. I hope I'm saying this correctly with my very still learning a French accent, but Frédéric has founded a very cool concept and community here in the heart of Paris, and I'm very lucky that I've got to know a little bit more about them. It's called CoCo Community, and for our topic today, we're talking about living the CoCo life. So a very, very big welcome to you. Welcome to the Your Happy Hour podcast. It's really, really great to have you here today to chat about a little bit more of what you've done and your journey, and really excited to hear what's brought you to this point. So before I dive into what CoCo is, maybe you just want to give us a little bit of a shout out of who you are, where you've come from, and what this topic means to you.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm very glad to be on this podcast, and I'm passionate about community. So this is a great topic, and I'm happy to give you more details about how we build, or we try to build, a community in Paris for internationals staying a couple of months in the capital of love.
I love that. Beaucoup d'amour all around. And so CoCo Community is a co-living, it's a co-working, but also kind of in-person event space. I know that you guys have an awesome, cozy, very cute space there in the heart of Le Marais, which I think is one of the most beautiful areas in Paris. And then you provide these amazing and really chic spaces for people to live in. And I hope at some point I can also indulge in that at here in Paris.
But welcome.
Thank you. So what does authentic community mean to you? How did CoCo Community start? Maybe just a little bit about your journey to this point.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I talk a little bit about the origin of the idea. I was traveling around the world for a large corporate company that was a company which is 100,000 people in the world, 30 billion US dollars revenue. So, big organization that was international, and I had to develop their business around the world. And basically I lived in many cities where I was staying a couple of months in order to negotiate contracts. Mm. And I realized from my experience in hotels and apart hotels or serviced apartments that the experience was not so great, because at the end of my trips, I was realizing that I didn't really meet local people. For example, I was a lot in Asia, in Japan, in Seoul, in Taiwan, in Shanghai, in China, and I didn't meet with Chinese or with Japanese, for example, easily. And I missed the opportunity to learn the culture and to learn interesting things because I was more in an expat life geared towards having fun, going into bars, into nightclubs, but intellectually it was a little bit poor. So what I tried to create at CoCo is a place where you have a community of people that are interesting, coming from all around the world. So it's a vetted community. I select the people that are coming to the community myself by an interview. And we offer events in order to socialize, common spaces. Currently we have a co-working space, as you said, in Le Marais. The aim is to have much more common spaces, and why not a coffee, a wine bar, places where you can gather and have interesting discussions. And of course, apartments, because it's hard to find an apartment in Paris for a couple of months. So we have facilitated all the process, the contract, and we have very well equipped apartments with a lot of services. We also have a conciergerie, but this is much more linked to the community in order to advise what to do in Paris and things like that.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that gives a really good description of what CoCo is. And the little bit that I've experienced, I've been to one of your in-person events and have had a bit of a social there, which was wonderful. And I really felt like what struck me is you guys have a very personal touch to what you bring to the community, and you really are providing something very unique and authentic. I think authentic is the right word. But what does that mean for you when you kind of think of authenticity and maybe the practical things that you've had to do to build authentic community versus maybe something that's not as authentic?
The fact that I that I select the people that are going to come to CoCo, to our apartments and to our community is, I think, quite important because what I want is to have interesting discussions. So I try to use the knowledge of every person that comes to CoCo. Because the people that are coming are very that there is a huge variety of occupations, of talents. We have entrepreneurs, of course. We have artists, geopolitical professors, psychanalysts, writers. So each of these persons have very interesting things to say, and we organized some talks, not TED Talks, we call them CoCo Talks, but we took the concept of TED Talks, which is super interesting because you get to hear inspiring people. So we try to gather inspiring people who are coming from all around the world and are here in Paris in order for them to discuss and to communicate their knowledge. And I think this is a way for me to have a community that is interested by sharing their ideas.
And I think that's really unique. That I've never really seen that anywhere else in the world. People are always gathering around ideas on a Facebook group or, something online, maybe meet up here and there. But I've never seen a co-living, co-working space do it in this way. So I think that's really quite special. And obviously being in Paris and people coming here in this melting pot of people, like you say, from all sorts of walks of life. I can imagine having to create this from the beginning wasn't necessarily always so easy, and kind of moving from a corporate job to entrepreneurship. Yeah, what was that journey like for you?
I was really sure that there was a need, right? Because I experienced the fact that there was a need for this kind of community when you go for a business trip or for a business assignment. So I was really sure deep inside that there was a market. So that helped me to really make the move, because it's true that from a corporate world to being an entrepreneur, it's a very big difference. I faced some challenge, of course, a lot of, for example, the other challenge was that I never knew hospitality. I never worked in real estate. So the content of, the sector was a mystery to me. I was a customer, but of hotels. So I knew how, I know what is the experience that I want to provide. I have a clear vision of what is the experience and the service I want to provide. Yet I don't know hospitality and real estate and all the details, which are quite important. And being an entrepreneur is also a challenge because in a large company, you don't look at your cash. For example, the company that I was in was super successful, so I didn't have to be very detailed on finance. How to survive. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, you try to survive every day, because at the beginning you're usually not profitable. So the only way you can survive is by getting money, and so you have to prove your concept. It's much more you have much more involvement. What was good, and if some persons want to try to be an entrepreneur when coming from a large company, is that large companies usually give you a lot of techniques, a lot of training that you can reuse as an entrepreneur. So you're not lost totally in translation. For example, my company was very good in finance. It was a company that was driven by finance, and it's true that I brought finance in CoCo, so we are very serious about figures, things like that. You bring your knowledge with you being an entrepreneur. You don't start from nothing.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think sometimes people feel like, you don't always know why you do certain things in your life, but then at some point they all make sense when you kind of go for what you want to go for, and you have all those skills within you. Nothing's ever lost. And I think also with the world of AI that's opening up to us, we have like other kinds of people skills and talents and input at our fingertips, really. So I'm sure that's also making life a lot easier for you guys in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, AI is clearly changing every company, even the smallest ones. And what is very interesting that I discovered by being an entrepreneur is how AI or other kind of technologies can be brought much faster in a small company than in a large company, because you're much more flexible and you can implement the latest technology without in one day. You don't need to ask to your management, and it's not going to change all the IT system of a large, like in a large corporation. Where when you're an entrepreneur, you can test and learn super fast, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's quite amazing how one can leverage the technology in conjunction with community. It's like maybe we don't see it now, but technology is just really helping us bring each other closer in some ways, depending on obviously how the intention and what it's used for. But I think it's really cool that you guys can see that. And I think that's the beauty about startups. We often have people come on here and they talk about how they love being in a startup because of that, because you can move so nimbly and so easily by creating. So I think it's a really cool change. And for whoever who's listening out there, if you're keen to make the jump, just know you've got community out there who've been through this. Feel free to reach out. And yeah, so you were saying that you obviously had some challenges, and I'm curious, so CoCo has been alive for how long now?
4 years.
4 years, okay. So I guess about 10 years ago, we always ask this question, did you have any idea that you were going to do this, or think that you would go into entrepreneurship in this way?
Since I was really young, I admired entrepreneurs. So I knew that I was tempted by entrepreneurship, but I didn't know how to go there, because the more I was staying in a large company, the more I was comfortable with, high salary, comfortable job, and the more I felt that the gap would be widening and the jump would be much more dangerous with time. So at one point, I decided when I was 40 to jump, saying, if I don't jump now, I'm gonna have less and less willingness and energy also to do it, because you need so much energy when you create your own project. I had some money. You need to put some money aside also to finance reasonably your first business and to show that it's going to work. So I made that. You need a little bit of savings, I think, especially when you're 40. It's good to have some money to invest to show the first product. The minimal product, we call that the minimal viable product.
Yeah.
And then you can show it to your investors or to some business angels or friends and family. But they will believe much more in your project if there is something that has been built by yourself, in which you have invested by yourself, right?
That's true, yeah. That's very true. I think a lot of people don't have that money put aside. That's the challenge. So then it becomes a lot harder because you're asking for a lot of investment in that. So that's amazing that you at least had that foresight to put that away. And I think a lot of people kind of just jump in head first into entrepreneurship and starting something with zero, which is also very possible, but it does become quite hard. And especially, I think with your industry, and I think this is an interesting question. You are dealing with a lot of different communities, so it's not just like you have one tech solution that you can kind of build in a garage like Google, but you're dealing with community and building development and property owners and the members, and there's a lot to bring together. So how do you end up juggling all of these communities and bringing them together and building one brand?
By inviting them at the events and offering them champagne, wine, and food. I think food and beverage has been, since the ancient times, the best way to create communities.
Yeah.
We are very happy to have our owners coming to our events in order to meet with the tenants, And we are also trying at our events to mix the international customers that we have, we call them the co-livers, with the local associations or the local people that are also welcome to our events. I want the international persons that come to Paris to learn about French culture, which is what I didn't really have. When I was traveling, I didn't have a platform to help me into understanding the Japanese when I was in Japan, the Chinese when I was in China. So here I really want and so I invite my friends, and that's to go back to your point about a family feeling. We are still a small company, and so there is this family feeling because myself and my co-founder, we sometimes we bring our children to the events, and so there is this family feel, and this is the challenge that we will have when we will grow, how to keep this personal touch, where of course the internationals that come to Paris and participate to our events like that because they feel really in a family. It's much more than it's really a family when you come to CoCo. And how do we will we manage to grow this concept when we become more international? It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it will be, but it's going to be an interesting journey for you to walk, and I'm quite excited to watch from the side. And I think the more we are online, you and I are in the same city right now, but we're having an online conversation. But the more we online and in person, this hybrid feeling, I think it's going to become very interesting how you keep that community. So is that something that you felt, because you're obviously chatting to people before they arrive in Paris, people already like leave in Paris after they've stayed or interacted with the co-working. So how do you keep that CoCo community going?
That's an interesting point indeed. As you said, what I try to do is, as soon as the person selects its apartment, we add him or her to to a community WhatsApp, where all the members of CoCo who have been there in Paris are usually staying. Even when they are leaving Paris, they stay in the community WhatsApp. And through this community WhatsApp, for example, they do home exchange. You know what is home exchange. So
Yes.
you have one from San Francisco that's leaving, the other is from Barcelona and lives at the same time, and they exchange their house. So they do that through our community WhatsApp. So it means that you need, in order to keep the community alive, you need to create value. This community you need to offer value to every member. The other thing that the members of the community who left Paris are asking me to do is to record all our events and do podcasts of our events. So they continue to feel the touch, because the CoCo touch, let's say, because sometimes they have nostalgia, I guess, and they would like to participate in a way to the events, who again are very interesting in terms of content.
Yeah.
So we are going to improve that. We are not today we are not doing it. We also have sometimes some confidentiality issues, because when you have an in-person meeting, physical meeting, the person that is doing the talk is much more open to talk about things that are a little bit touchy. Let's say, for example, we had a geopolitics professor that had, the subject was she's an expert about Russia and Ukraine, and it's a kind of discussion that's not easy to broadcast if you want to have real content. So we also like to believe that the person that are going to come and to make the effort of being there physically are going to have a reward.
Yeah, and there's a lot of what you're saying. The word that comes up to me is trust. There's a lot of trust that you're building within that community of people being able to be open to share homes, feelings, opinions, expressions, all of that. So I think at the essence of authenticity and authentic community is a lot of trust in you guys too, to provide a kind of experience for them. So, but yeah, that's really interesting, and I've yet to make one of the talks, and I will very soon hopefully be able to join. I know you've got one this month.
Yes,
you said it was
on the 31st of January.
Amazing. So whoever's listening and is in Paris, we'll definitely broadcast it on the socials, and you're welcome to go and check out a CoCo talk.
Yeah, well, you're welcome if you're in Paris to come in Le Marais and to experiment those talks. It's going to be interesting. It's a very well-known consultant. She owns her own firm about reputation, branding and reputation.
A very important topic for everyone out there. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'm really have a lot of gratitude for you creating this space for people out there. I think a lot of people are looking for community. I can say, as a traveler, as someone who's also been on the road, it's not something I've seen often as well. And wherever you go, you're always looking for that kind of human touch in a way, and that little bit of magic. So
yes, because I think we live in a polarized world. You know, we have more and more, I guess, I don't know what's the origin, and we have a lot of debates about why the world is getting much more polarized than before. Maybe because of social media or things, explanations like that are relevant. Yet we need to find a way to be able to continue to talk and to be able to trust, as you said, each other in being able to disagree with a person, but with arguments. And what I would like CoCo to become is a place for debates about interesting subjects, where everybody, each person that has a knowledge of the subject can talk, and we can have the point of view of each person that knows the subject, and then we can have a debate between people that have an experience. And then, of course, the public, the audience can ask questions. But I feel that it's good to have some people that know a little bit about the technicalities, the specificities of a given subject, and can give us more ideas, more details about what they think, and to be able to counter arguments with calm and serenity in order to learn the complexities of things, because those subjects usually are complex. There is no, it's not black or white, less and less.
Yeah. Most things in life aren't. I think we play around in the grey or rainbow-colored area of life, rather. And I think it's so valuable that you're creating that space because, like you said, a lot of people, less and less we are being able to have these open and direct conversations. I actually find, as a South African living here now, I find France pretty open in that. I think people are still very much having direct conversations, keen to debate and open up the kind of essence of a topic without necessarily becoming defensive or, feeling like it's a personal attack or anything like that. And I appreciate that. I think a lot of cultures kind of tiptoe around an issue. So I really...
That French people like to debate, that's for sure. They like to go in the streets to protest, so it's exciting.
It is exciting.
We like to fight for ideas.
It's a wonderful thing, and I think that's what makes it especially Paris, also such an exciting city to be in, because people are alive. There's this kind of joie de vivre that's in the air. So I think it's a great place to build that kind of authenticity in community, especially among an international crowd. So I know you mentioned some of the challenges, and we'll talk about kind of where you're going now for a moment, but I'm keen to hear, as you've been building CoCo in this community, what has been like something that hit home for you, some kind of advice, someone that said something you read somewhere that you felt really helped you along the journey?
I think what is sometimes difficult is that compared to a corporate life, every problem becomes your problem, In a large company, you have like some shields, some protection. Your boss and the boss of your boss and your boss of the boss of the boss are your protection against everything that goes wrong. And the responsibility is diluted. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, everything is your fault, right? Everything that goes wrong, you have to acknowledge that it's your responsibility, and you have to find your solution. You're the only one to be able to do that. And if the company goes bankrupt, it's your fault. Nobody is going to save you. So you're really much more lonely in your mindset, and that's not easy. So in order to succeed, you need to, sometimes when you're a little bit, you find it hard, or you're kind of depressed, or you don't really have a motivation anymore, which can happen. Of course, I think you need a co-founder. To me, it's a major thing that I did well by chance. It's also a luck, is that I met a co-founder that is for me someone that I can trust completely, and I really love to share with him, and I always like to see him, because he has a great energy. So that's super important, not to be alone, and also to think about the project, as we said. The project that we have is a little bit broader. It's broader than just apartments. It's creating a community, creating a place for sharing knowledge. And this vision, each time I'm a little bit finding that I'm struggling, I keep thinking about the vision, going back to this vision, and saying, "This is why I'm creating this company. This is why I want to develop the company, because there is something big at the end that I really believe in." So you need to bring your personality to the project. You need to bring your passion, what is your inner motivation to the project. And before creating a company, I think, and this is something I did personally, you need to really analyze your motivation, your inner, what makes you vibrate, what is the vibration, what is your passion, what's enthusiastic for you, and you need to bring that to the project.
Oh, that's amazing advice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's so true. I don't think anything can really succeed and go anywhere if it doesn't have that real intention and motivation from a deep place. You can, but it will kind of float off into the distance and not have that gravitas and impact on the world that you want to create. So I can resonate with that. I think it took me a while to also kind of find my big mission in terms of the things I'm doing. And it does require you to kind of step back and be quiet in yourself and know yourself. And you speaking about vibration, I know that you were talking about luck and chance and meeting your co-founder, but I think a lot of that has to do with where you are resonating as your energy. You pull people into your life when you kind of resonate at a certain space. So you probably pulled him into your life by going deeper and saying, "Hey, this is my mission. This is what I need to do. Universe, help me. Where are the people that can help me do this?" So I think that's a really important point to know. Yeah.
And one thing also that I noticed is that when I started, I was super motivated. When you start, you have a huge energy. And I was super confident, and people, they follow you, because even though you don't know anything, I didn't know about anything about hospitality, anything about real estate, anything about entrepreneurship, but people were so, I was so passionate that they could trust. I was surprised that they trusted me to do something great. And then when you've been doing I've been 2 or 3 years of work, it starts to be harder, because now at that point people, they look at the results. It's not the idea anymore. Is it going to make money? Is it well realized? Are you doing the execution? Is it done in the right way? And here it's more difficult, because you're in the heart of the hard things, the details. You're in the details. It's hard. And then I think there is a point where I'm now after 4 years, and when you see that what you've created is looking good, the fundamentals are good. People, when they look at the project, it can be investors, it can be journalists, it can be your family. You can see that they find what you did interesting, and it gives you another energy. So energy, the flow of energy, is super important. And then you have daily routines that you need to put in place in order to be having energy every day, even though you're not motivated, because you have some days where you work so much every day that there are some days you have less energy. So how do? You need to put in place some routines.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because something that I did want to ask you, how do you kind of keep filling your cup? How do you make sure you have that energy flow? Because you're very right, it's very, very important. And whether you're working a 9 to 5 or in entrepreneurship, but in entrepreneurship, it's a lot harder, I think, because you, like you say, you're very on your own. So what are your kind of daily practices that you put in place?
I learned, and I'm still learning, but because I think it's so hard to be an entrepreneur that you keep on having some difficulties, in your entrepreneurial life. You're always going to have some difficulties, and you're always going to put some practices, put some routines in place in order to face the next difficulty that you are going to have. Because when you feel comfortable, you know that something wrong is going to happen as an entrepreneur. So my routine that is progressing, it's not from the first day that I implemented it, but I noticed that going to the nature is important, and with video calls, I can start to work from outside Paris, and so I can go to the mountain, to the ocean, and this is super important for me. I think to see the trees, to see the ocean, to see the colors. And I was skiing last week, and it's brought me. I realized how I missed the sun because it was raining in Paris for like 3 months in a row, and it's really depressing.
Yeah.
And then you have sports. So you also, as we organize some events, sometimes we go to nightclubs with all the co-livers, and so we spend a lot of time partying also. It's part of our job, I mean. So how to party, but then to be going back to work in the next morning and be sharp.
Yeah.
I'm learning about all those things.
It's a balance. Yeah, no, you probably have a very good tolerance. I don't know if I could do that, but that's awesome. Yeah, I think life is such a balance between social and physical and mental and all of those things that stimulate you. And like you say, nature is a beautiful thing that I know it's difficult to find in a city, but at least here we also have kind of like a museum of a city. When you walk, it's for me at least as an artist, it's very inspiring. So now that you kind of look ahead and you've walked quite a journey already with CoCo, what do you feel is coming? I mean, we're quite excited to hear. Like a year from now, where do you find yourself? What do you envision for this community?
I think we have, of course, the international expansion, which is something down the road that will be challenging and super interesting, because I've always been traveling around the world and working for a very international company. So I want to bring CoCo to the cities that I like the most in the world. And the second thing is the fact that with this community, it's super extensible. I mean, you can have a lot of ideas of growth to improve the connections between all the members of the community. For example, we are thinking about having maybe a wine bar or a cafe in Paris, having a sports club, because this is also very important in your balance, right? Sport. And last year I started to swim nearly every morning as part of my routine in a swimming pool. So gym is also something we can add to the CoCo community features. And more events, be more professional in the way we do events. Of course, keep this touch, which is a little bit the family touch. Continue to do very interesting talks and have more and more talks, more and more events. This is one thing that I want to develop.
Okay. Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, I'm very excited for all of that. I think it's going to be really amazing to see you guys expand, and I feel like every city in the world does need a CoCo. And let me know about the CoCo Cafe. I'm always keen for coffee as well. So
Yeah, we have
that
a lot of
sounds.
requests about gym and cafe.
Yeah. I just got a nice ring to it, CoCo Cafe. I love it. I want to move on to a little section that we always do on the podcast. It's called the Gems, and it's really about sharing something that's been good for you this week, or challenging, or something you've learned. And I'll go first just to kind of give you an idea. But what's really been a gem for me this week is being able to feel a sense of settling. I've been on the road for about 2 years now, and I really am very grateful that I can now be here in Paris. And with having to slow down, the universe has really taught me now to slow down, just to ground a little bit. Nature helps a lot with that. But yeah, just feeling a sense of community, I guess, being able to start making friends that you'll see every week instead of a new face every day as you're traveling. It's really given me a new wave of energy, which I appreciate. So yeah, just being able to share the space with people in the city has been a real big gem for me. How about for you? What's the week held for you?
As I said, skiing in the beautiful Alps reminded me how beautiful France is, because to be in the mountain when the snow is beautiful, the sky is blue, and you're alone in the immensity of the mountains, it's completely crazy. And then in the same day nearly, because I came back to Paris, and yesterday we had pot de départ, how do you say pot de départ? The departure. A person is leaving CoCo back to the US, and she made a party to say goodbye.
Oh,
and so
like a
it's
farewell, yeah.
farewell, exactly, a
Yeah.
farewell party. She invited all the person from the community that she liked, and we had a dinner, and such interesting people, and I really, it made me. I was very happy to see this community is really alive, and she's sad to leave, but she says she's going to come back. So this was a very nice moment, and we had very interesting conversation again, because all those people from different origin, different background. We did talk about politics in every country represented by the person that were there. So it was super interesting.
Oh, amazing. That sounds really great. And such a kind of intimate moment to share with someone who you've built a connection with, and goes out into the world. And you'll always have a space that you can go visit as well, which is the beauty of international community and friends, I found as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that, I actually want to give a quick shout out. So one thing we've also been doing is saying our people, places, and spaces that we feel have the feels. It seems like quite fitting, and I would be quite remiss not to mention Home Exchange, which has been a bit of a home for me as I've been traveling. So I wanted to give them a shout out. My Home Exchange journey is kind of coming to an end now, but it's been a wonderful 2 years. So thank you to them and the wonderful friends and community I've made through them. And yeah, I just think home swapping, the way you're also doing it, is such an amazing thing, creating that trust and community. So a shout out to another authentic community out there that's doing their thing in a very cool way. And then a very last quick spotlight on our, last but not least, our Riverside FM partner for the month. They make sure that we can do this, we can have these conversations. Thank you to you guys. And yeah, who knows, maybe we'll be having more of these kind of recordings and conversations with CoCo Community livers. That would be amazing. So yeah, thanks guys for making it happen. And yeah, and then a very last question to you, Frédéric, is what is in your stack? Now, the stack is something that we starting to showcase as a bit of our reading list, books that we've loved, that have meant a lot to us, that we're busy reading, that we'd like to read. So what's in your stack at the moment?
The book I'm reading right now is from Irvin Yalom. I don't know if you know this.
No, I
It's called
don't.
the Spinoza problem, and it's the life of Spinoza and the life of the ideologue of the Nazi Party.
Oh, wow.
And it's about community, because Spinoza was in a Jewish community and he was very involved, but he has been rejected because of his ideas from the community. There is a link in this book with the ideology of the Nazi that I don't tell you exactly what it's going, because if I explain you, it's not as fun as if you discover. But it's also about racism, and it's the author. I'm now reading all the books of the same author. It's someone who loves philosophy and who's also a psychanalyst. So
Oh, interesting.
through
Yeah.
those books, you enter the psychology of the philosophers, and it's a great book. It's amazing.
Oh, amazing. We're definitely going to add that to the stack, and we'll have it on the site so people can click on it and go and buy it as well. I'm definitely adding that to my reading list, so thank you. It sounds really, really interesting. And also talk about community. Yeah, it's interesting how one can create different communities for different reasons out in the world, and it's great when you're creating community with a positive effect and impact. So, but yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, just a really big thank you for coming to share with us today. For all our listeners out there, what do you feel is authentic community to you? Do you feel like you are finding something like a CoCo in your area? And maybe you want to come and visit Paris and connect with CoCo Community. And where can people find you? What are the best places for them to reach out to you?
We have an Instagram account and we have a website that where you can find all our apartments. It's called CoCo Community, and the Instagram is coco.coliving.
Perfect. We'll share it on the socials as well. And just a really big thank you for coming and sharing, and really love what you guys are doing. And I hope to see you in person very soon, and hopefully it will stop raining in Paris.
Thank you, Nicole, for your invitation. And of course, I hope you will be there on the 31st of January. And if anyone again wants to be there and wants to come, you are all welcome. We will serve you very good champagne, which is as French people, we need to serve good wine and good champagne, right? Otherwise, it's not a French party.
Oui, c'est ça. Oh, thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you haven't just yet, follow Friday Feels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can share with us all your feels this week by tagging us at fridayfeels.co. And you can also find the website at that handle. And now, as you ease into this weekend, take a moment. Celebrate who you've become, what you've overcome, and what is yet to come as you do the crazy and cool things that you do as the authentic you. The truth about life and work is that it's hard, but the beauty is this global working experience that you're in, well, we earn it together. So keep connecting, empowering, and inspiring this week. And of course, keep it raw and real. Until next time.